Hi everyone, welcome to our coding interview questions. In today's video, I will show you how to check if a string is a palindrome. A palindrome is a word, sentence, number, or other sequence of characters that reads the same backward as forward. For sentences, we need to ignore capitalization, punctuation, and word separators. Palindromes are a very interesting string manipulation problem, appearing very often in coding interviews. However, they have practical application as well. For example, in the field of bioinformatics, they are used for RNA, DNA, and protein sequence analysis. So let's jump to coding. The function we need to build must accept a string as input and return a boolean, indicating if the string is or not a palindrome. For sake of simplification, I'm not validating the input. Our first approach is going to use built-in functions from JavaScript. The first step is to transform all the string to lowercase. And then strip any characters that are not alphanumerical. For that, we are using the functions toLowercase and replace. The replace function is using a regular expression to find the sequence to be replaced. In our case, we want to replace all not alphanumeric characters by an empty string. The \w in uppercase means all characters but digits and letters. In other words, we are forming a single word composed only of letters and digits. Let's visualize this. In the next step, we want to reverse the input string. To do that, we are using split to create an array of characters, then we apply the function reverse on the resulting array. And finally, we use join to concatenate all characters with no separators, since we are using an empty string. Again, let's visualize this. In the last step, we just need to compare the strings. If they are identical, then the string is a palindrome. Let's add a simple test to check if everything is okay. Now we can prepare a more elaborate test case. For that, we are going to create an array of test inputs and expected outputs. Then we need to loop this array, calling our isPalindrome function for each entry. To compare the actual result with the expected one, we are using strict equal from the native Node.js assert library. Let's run and check the results. It seems okay so far. As we didn't have any errors, we can consider that all tests are passing. Just to be sure, let me change one of the expected values with a wrong output and run our program again. Okay? Note that the error is showing a difference between the actual and expected outputs. Let's just fix our test case and run once more. Okay? We are good here. This solution is very clean and readable, but it's not performatic. All these transformations has a performance cost. This can be a factor or not, depending on the use case. As developers, we need always to balance performance and readability against the project requirements. In our next approach, we won't use built-in functions. Instead, we are going to use a while loop to compare only alphanumeric characters, ignoring the others. For that, we need to create a support function. Here, we are using the ASCII codes to check if the character is a letter or a digit. As we haven't yet converted the string to lowercase, we need to check the character against lower and uppercase. We need two variables to control the loop. One to store the index coming from the left side and other for the right side. The idea is to start comparing the first and the last characters of the string. If they are identical, we advance to compare the second with the penultimate. If we can continue doing that until the center of the string, then the string is a palindrome. If at any time the comparison is false, we can abort our loop because the string is not a palindrome. As we can have strings of odd and even length, we will continue to compare while the left index is less than the right one. At that point, we can stop the loop because we know the string is a palindrome. Let's code this. As the first character of the string has the index 0, we need to consider that the right index is the string length minus 1. Now, we need to ignore the non-alphanumeric characters from the left and from the right. The continue statement ends the current iteration of the loop. The program control is passed to the end of the loop body. Then, we need to compare the character from the left with the one from the right. At this moment, we need to convert them to lowercase before the comparison. If they are identical, we can continue our loop. Otherwise, we can finish our function returning false. Note that the complexity is big O of n, since we need to loop the string just once. In fact, we need to loop only half of the string length. Now, we can test our function using the same test cases we have used before. And that's it. We have learned how to check if a string is a palindrome using two different approaches. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave your comments below. With this series, I intend to explore common coding interview questions with different levels of difficulty. So, stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching, and I see you in the next video.